Hello everyone. So we were reading the book Pure Experiences by Tarun Pradhaan, and we were on the topic of afflictions of the mind, and in that we were discussing beliefs, and today we are talking about the belief which is cognitive bias. So we are starting now. So cognitive biases are simply biases. They are aberrations in the mind that prevents a person from thinking correctly. These are so universal that one can call them inherent. These have deep roots in evolutionary history of the mind and are also caused due to socio-cultural indoctrination. What a bias does is it makes one reach illogical or incorrect conclusion by injecting a belief in thinking process. This is often fully automatic, and the person is not even aware of his biases. Sometimes, even when the presence of a bias is shown, the person refuses to accept it. Reason? Justification of belief that I cannot be wrong. So, that is known as stupidity. There are hundreds of biases, and surprisingly or not many people are aware of them. Many psychological or social studies have been done on them, and exotic names are assigned to them. Here we are going to discuss an extensive list of biases. So if you are interested and unbiased towards them, then read it. List of cognitive biases we will be discussing further. No need to memorize the list. Just knowing that one can have these biases help to remain uninfluenced by them. However, I recommend doing a small exercise. Read them and see them. If you are afflicted by them or most of them, this alone will raise your awareness sufficiently. If you are open-minded, it will start a process of cleansing them from your mind. Awareness is the key, as always. Once you know, you don't have any excuse to be biased again. So I'm going to mention some of the common ones because we all suffer from them. So here is the short list we are starting. The first one is group thinking. Perhaps the most universal bias, as known as herd mentality. One tends to accept something as truth simply because everyone else seems to accept it. One needs to decouple the democratic acceptance from actual fact, and the bias goes away. Critical thinking skills are needed to see this. Just because someone says it's true does not mean it is so. That is, it does not become your own experience magically. And just because a number of people say so, it does not become a truth somehow. If a large group of people believe in something that is not found in experience of even one of them, it is just mass stupidity. So here is another quote from Bertrand Russell. Quote, "The fact that an opinion has been widely held is no evidence whatever what it is not utterly absurd. Indeed, in view of silliness of the majority of mankind, a widespread belief is more likely to be foolish than sensible." Unquote. Next is cherry picking, as known as confirmation bias. One tends to pick out the information that supports his existing beliefs from a pile of available information, even though the pile may contain a large amount of information that goes against his belief. He ignores it completely and pretends that opposing evidence does not exist. It is a common bias, and even intelligent people suffer from it and use it to justify their beliefs or actions. One can get rid of it by intentionally looking for opposing evidence and open-mindedly accepting it. This will destroy the root belief too. Third one is farming. People are susceptible to the way an idea is presented. If it is presented in a positive way, with lots of positive sounding words, it is automatically believed to be positive or good, and vice versa. The positive words direct an untrained mind to take the idea as positive too, and suppress any critical thinking that can occur if it is presented neutrally. Advertisers use this bias to sell their often ordinary products effectively. A doctor holding a toothbrush makes it more acceptable. A pretty model drinking a soup of chemicals, as known as cold drinks, makes you go and drink it robotically. Politicians use negative farming to demonize their enemies, making it easy to kill them. So tags like terrorist, enemy of the nation, or formed charges are used effectively without evoking public suspicion. Next one is appeal to authority. The unconscious belief that if a famous or respectable person has said something, it must be true. The fact of the matter must be evaluated via direct experimentation that provides a direct experience of the subject rather than blindly believing some authority. Note that if an authority says something, its chances of being correct go up, but it does not become correct. People who manipulate others often use this bias to install beliefs into others by telling them to believe something which was once said by some great men or is written in some old book. People obey, and the reason is the bias. Another quote here: in questions of science, the authority of 1,000 is not worth the humble reasoning of a single individual. Galileo Galilei has said that. Next one is selective perception. We see that we want to see or see only that which we believe is true. So, if we believe that a person is bad morally, we selectively see only his bad actions. This often escalates hate for no reason and causes harm. Another good example is a suspicious person seeing most of the actions of their partner as an attempt to conceal cheating. This often leads to a failure of marriage or a miserable married life. If one believes that a magical ritual is going to get him what he wants, he will see events among random events that bring him closer to his goal as effectiveness of the ritual and ignore the events that do not confirm his belief. Next is false causation. The tendency to assume that if two events happen at the same time or one after the other, one causes the other. The events may be completely unrelated or at most correlated, but correlation is not causation. Wishful thinking is next. Twisted interpretation of actual evidence to make it sound like it confirms one's belief or preferences is wishful thinking. Next is halo effect. The spillover of one quality of a person into his other assumed qualities. For example, a beautiful person is automatically assumed to be ethical or truthful. A rich person is assumed to be a great person, and so on. One good quality does not guarantee goodness in every other area. Food in a clean restaurant may or may not taste good. Next one in the cognitive biases is Dunning-Kruger effect. An incompetent person has a belief that he is more competent than an experienced and competent person. This happens because an incompetent person is incapable of seeing the difficulty of achieving expertise in something. Not only an incompetent person is so, he is unaware that he is so. This causes the boss syndrome, where those who don't know about a field or subject claim to know the most. Another quote from Bertrand Russell is, "The trouble with the world is that the stupid are cocksure and the intelligent are full of doubt." So, here we are ending the cognitive biases part of beliefs, and we'll continue with the gross generalization next. Thank you so much.